Yes. Yes. Let's go. People are saying in the chat. So I've interviewed some controversial guests on this show before. You may be aware of that. I don't know if I've interviewed one who's controversial in the way that this guest is controversial. And so because of that, I will justify having him on, even though I don't have to. I can talk to anybody I want. But the reason I decided to talk to Baked Alaska, and we are going to ask him, well, first of all, he says I can ask him anything I want, which he might regret. And second of all, he's a live streamer, a content creator who goes to protests sometimes. I'm a live streamer, a content creator who goes to protests sometimes. And he ended up in the Capitol live streaming on January 6th. And for that crime, he's now been sentenced to 60 days in jail. So the way I look at it is it could have been me. And I can't say I would have done exactly the same thing. And we'll go over exactly what Baked Alaska pled guilty to. But it could have been me, really. Like, you know, I in a different body or something. I could have been at January 6th. I could have gone and followed people in, and there were other people with cameras there too. So I really looked at it as like almost like a press freedom thing, which is why I was interested. And also nobody talks to Baked, you know. So and I know the elephant in the room is everybody says Baked is a Fed, so we're going to ask, but first we're going to soften them up with some, you know, we're going to get to know each other before we get to the really hard questions. So anyway, without further ado, Yoba, we have to talk about that. Hey man, your name, I'm calling you Baked Alaska. Yes. Your name is Anthem Gune.
Yeah.
And Tim.
Yeah. So you can call me Tim. It's like a French version of Timothy. Yeah.
Okay. So you go by Tim.
Yes.
You go by Baked Alaska.
Yes.
And you go by Yoba.
Yes.
Why don't I ask? It wasn't going to be my first question, but where did Yoba come from?
Yeah. So Yoba was basically, I don't know. It's a thing people started saying in chat. They just started saying Year of Baked Alaska, and Yoba was
Year of Baked Alaska. When was the Year of Baked Alaska?
Oh, it's every year. This is the Year of Baked Alaska. Last year was the Baked Alaska. Next year will be the Year of Baked Alaska. I mean, it's kind of a meme, but it's basically just about like grabbing life by the balls, being like, this is my year, bitch. Like, I'm going to do everything I want to do. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So,
all right. All right. It's sort of like, it's a little like YOLO.
Yeah. It's like YOLO. But for me. So,
okay. The first question I was going to ask you, because I ran into this when I was doing my research, because I like to research my guests before I talk to them. Sure. And I noticed that when you search for Baked Alaska on almost any platform, the first result is not you. You know, and as a matter of fact, you're search banned on Twitter, as far as I could tell, because I tried to search for you and I had to put in exactly. I'm search banned too, I think, right now. I don't know why. But on YouTube, I searched for you because I was like, oh, and I know people are making content about you.
Yep.
Because I saw people making videos about you. I searched Baked Alaska. What do I get? Recipes.
Ice cream cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, well, I am extremely shadow banned. That's no surprise there. I've been in the content game almost 10 years now, which is kind of hard to believe. But yeah, I mean, you look at my name on TikTok, for example. If you go on TikTok and put in hashtag Baked Alaska or Baked Alaska streamer, 0 results. So it's just a straight shadow ban. So I've been in the game so long, I actually broke one of the first stories on shadow banning. I was a whistleblower when I worked at BuzzFeed because I worked with Twitter executives. I worked with some different social medias, and I started the Twitter account for this brand called Tasty, @Tasty, which is now a huge like cooking brand owned by BuzzFeed. And I remember I went in there and I made Tasty and it wasn't coming up in the search. And then I went and talked to them like, oh, we'll whitelist you. And then you just typed in T and I had 0 followers and it was the first thing that showed up. I was like, whoa. And so I was the whistleblower. I exposed that to Breitbart News at the time. and nobody had heard of a shadow ban. They're like, what the hell is that? So, I do pride myself on, exposing some of that stuff that's been going on. But now, I do think Elon Musk is doing a much better job. Obviously, I'm back on Twitter. A lot of people are coming back. So that's very nice to see.
Yeah, right. Well, it's kind of like, because they did it to me too. So I can kind of relate a little bit. Like, there was a time when you searched for Lift the Veil on Google, and every single one of my platforms would come up. YouTube first, and then, whatever else it was, Twitter and everything else. And then now you search for it and you get totally different things. Same on YouTube. So it's like they make you think reality is different. This is the thing that got to me, is I was like, why would someone search for baked Alaska? And so Google is basically trying to tell people that the main reason somebody would search for baked Alaska, and not just the main reason, like almost the only reason anybody would search for baked Alaska, is because they want this dessert, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Is that? I'm like, because I never heard of the dessert before. So
it's a great dessert. Don't get me wrong, but well, if you're Googling me and then you go to news, you'll see like a million articles. But for some reason, like on the main Google search, it's like shadow banned. But like I said, that's on TikTok. A lot of different platforms do that. It is what it is. But
yeah, it is what it is. Well, and then what does that mean for I know you're on Cozy, right? That's like your main. And there's a number of people on there. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about Cozy.
Yeah.
But you're on there with like Nick Fuentes. Was that did he create Cozy? Nick Fuentes?
Yeah. So Nick created Cozy. He's the founder, the owner, CEO, and all that. It's amazing. It's amazing. Cozy.tv/Baked Alaska. Also, I just got unbanned on DLive, but the phone that I have all the login stuff on was seized by the feds, and I don't get that back. I think they said 90 days after my jail, they're going to give me all my stuff back. They took like 3 phones, a laptop, a watch, Apple Watch, like all my shit was seized by the feds. And so I haven't had that for 2 years.
Really?
So yeah, looking forward to, bringing that to a close shortly here.
Yeah. Yeah. DLive is kind of dead though. I mean, Ralph is back on there, but I noticed, like, I know Ralph is on Ralph Retort, or Ethan Ralph is on Cozy, and he's back on DLive. But when I tune in on DLive, because I have the app, and I'm like, I was on DLive before a lot of those guys were on DLive.
Oh, wow.
So I was using it, and so I'm used to it.
Capital on DLive. That was like,
that's where you streamed, right?
Yeah,
was DLive.
I had like close to 20K live viewers on DLive in the Capitol, and then obviously later that day, I got banned, and Nick and a bunch of people got banned because of January 6th type content, which is a shame. I think DLive killed its own platform. They should have stood with us and said, you know what, given me like a month ban, or, temporary, and just say, okay, you can't do that. Give us the clear guidelines. Instead, they went crazy and just banned everybody, and then, their platform's dead. But I mean, there definitely is a space for free speech platforms. That's why you see, the emergence of like Odyssey and, all these Rumble, all these different tech platforms like Cozy, etc. Yeah, there's a huge space. There's still a huge space, even in like, financial tech. I'm banned from like PayPal and Streamlabs and so many things. So I created, me and my roommate, actually, Lulz, we created a payment platform called Power Chat, which is, facilitating some of that. But we have a long way to go in that whole financial thing. They're banning people from banks. It's terrible. So hopefully we keep moving on that.
Yeah, I'm banned from PayPal too. So, and have been for a while, and I don't even know for sure what I said. I didn't storm the Capitol or anything. So like, I'm not sure, but yeah, what happened to you guys with DLive really screwed things up for everybody. I mean, and it was DLive that, they didn't need to cut people off. And now they're like, oh, you can come back on, but nobody's going there. They've moved somewhere else. So
yeah, well, I'm a favor of the temporary bans, because why should someone get a, like, in real law, if you like what I'm doing, I have a 60-day sentence. Okay. Once I'm done, I'm free. I'm able to, carry on my normal business. So why is it that in the tech world, I was banned from Twitter for 5 years? 5 fucking years. Pardon my language, but it's like 5 years. You know, why couldn't they just say, okay, you did this horrendous thing. You know, you're going to spend 1 year in the gulags or whatever. You know, in the tech world, they just give you a life sentence for arbitrary things. But, you know, luckily Elon Musk and others are, realizing this is not really the way we should do things. But for some companies like DLive, yeah, it's a little too late.
Yeah, it's a little too late. Yeah, and then I asked you before I had you on. I was like, "Are you?" Some people are. Well, I don't even know what the status is. There was a while where Alex Jones was totally banned, and like you can even play clips of him. Basically.
Yeah, no, I'm not that banned. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm banned from YouTube, but people have me on their shows all the time, and
right.
That's fine.
Right,
which is that's another weird thing too. It's like, why can I be on another show but not have my own channel?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. I know. Like the whole thing about censorship is so insane. It's like you could change your mind about something. Like you know what I mean? Like me, I used to make videos. Like I would have made videos about the thing that happened in Connecticut, you know, with the school shooting. I would have made videos about that back in the day, same way Alex Jones did. But I kind of changed my mind about it. And I wouldn't do that anymore, right? So like I'm actually a different person from the person they would have banned before. So and I did get banned. Like this isn't. I had a channel with 100,000 subs, and it got deleted. But are you not even allowed to start a new channel? Basically,
yeah. They've banned like hundreds of my channels. Like I kept trying to restart, and then I'm just like whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a great point as well. It's like, do we not want to encourage people to grow? Like I've surely grown. Like I talked about that. Like I walked out of my sentencing. I got the 60 days. Ashley Babbitt's mom was at my hearing. I was like, oh my gosh, I gave her a big hug. My parents are crying. Like, you know, it's like, damn, you lost your daughter. Like I'm just doing 60 days like this. And you're here like praying for me, supporting me. You know, it's absolutely incredible the support, that the J6 political prisoners have for each other. I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, no, that's cool. And she got it was crazy that she got arrested for jaywalking.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
On the day.
Got arrested.
Gosh, like I didn't get involved personally in the whole Stop the Steal movement. Although I knew people that did, and a lot of the people on DLive. So a lot of the people who were streaming on the same platform with me were involved in that. And so tell me about Stop the Steal. Like, was it a grift or was it legit? Like, did you guys really think Trump could take the election?
Yeah, no, that was totally legit. There is actual rules in where Pence did not have to certify the election. That's real. Obviously Pence had no backbone. But for me, the voter fraud, it was never anything like I don't have a smoking gun where I'm like, look at this piece of paper. Here's the exact data. For me, it was always just questions. I just thought it was fishy. I thought things did not add up. I saw many irregularities, and you even saw them in the 22 midterm elections in Maricopa County, all sorts of funny business going on. I think our voting system is very, very corrupt. I think it's sort of a sham right now. I think we need to do 1 day voting only. You have to be in person, no mail-in ballots, no absentees. Just make it simple. And also, we need to start counting elections in 24 hours. None of this, Arizona, Alaska, all these different states went for weeks. No.
I live in California. I mean, I don't think they're done yet.
It just
makes
sense.
Keeps going forever.
In Florida, we have a huge population in Florida, and we were done in 3 hours. So boom. It's possible, but it's just people are making it way too complex. So for me, I just had questions. I thought there was voter fraud. Did I have, specific evidence to back that up? Yeah, we had some, like not some smoking gun, but the problem with that is once you started asking questions, they started banning people for misinformation and so that sort of pushed us more. But, we knew it was a very small chance. Like we weren't delusional. I remember going into January 6th, we were like, all right, this is our last chance. We're trying to make a stand. We thought maybe, Mike Pence would say, hey, we're going to hold off the certification. We're going to do some audits. Like, I want everything to be fair. If Biden fairly won, fine. That's okay. I'm not a sore loser. But, that's just, it seemed that there were fishy things going on, and I wanted to ask questions.
Yeah. Well, I will say that even though I wasn't to me, what I thought at the time was that they weren't going to be able to overturn it, basically, that the legal challenges didn't seem like they had any weight. And then that's what ended up happening, is they lost all those legal challenges. However, it was, there could be a competition for what would get you banned faster, whether it was either the vaccine,
right,
or just questioning an election. And it was literally like questioning. So that's why somebody like Steve Bannon, he got banned, right? Because he was questioning the election, and other people did too. And God, I don't, of course it's not right. And then what they did with Twitter, some of the Twitter files came out, and they said some of the people they went after, about election stuff. And it was a lot of people just making jokes, literally just making jokes, like somebody was said, hey, Americans, vote Tuesday and Democrats vote Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right?
So are you familiar with the Ricky Vaughn case? Okay. So Ricky Vaughn actually was arrested for putting out a meme. He said, if you want to vote for Hillary, text this number and your vote will be counted as a text vote. Total joke. Total joke.
Right.
He was arrested in the District of New York.
Really?
Yes, by the FBI. And I was named as a co-conspirator, and that's like an ongoing case. So there's, I've been caught up in many cases. But yeah, no, it's absolutely insane. And that was tweeted in 2016. And now we're in 2023. And this happened right around the same time January 6th did. So right when Biden got in, he unleashed Merrick Garland and many other crooks in the Department of Justice to just start going after patriots. And, love me, hate me, people have very polarizing views of me. But, my message is that it's not just about me. It's not just about Baked Alaska. If they're coming after me, they're coming after other people that are making memes, that are saying the truth, whatever you deem that to be. And that's very dangerous. That's not a society we should be living in when we say we have the First Amendment, we say we have free speech. So yeah, I hope people can learn something from this. I'm planning on writing a book in prison. I'm starting a January 6th political prisoner fund sort of thing where I can, raise money for legal funds, because I'll be honest, some people have it worse than me, and we can get right into that. Some people have it less than me. What I've learned through this process is the legal system in America is incredibly, incredibly corrupt. It is a rigged game. I had no idea. You hear stories, but then when you're actually in it, it's just so different. So I took a plea deal for a non-violent misdemeanor of picketing and parading in the Capitol. So my case is different, because I see people on Twitter and your replies, they were like, Baked got 2 months and this other guy got 4 years. They did the exact same thing. He's a Fed. But here's the thing, respectfully, and Nick Ox, for example, that's my good friend. I had him on the day before he went to jail and raised money for his family. So I love that guy, and my heart goes out to all the Jan 6 defendants, but he pled guilty to a felony. I pled guilty to a non-violent misdemeanor. So it's like there's different categories. If you went in the Holy of Holies, they call it, which is like the main chamber where the shaman was, then you got screwed. Like that was like a whole nother, if you went in there, if you even stepped foot, that was automatic felony. I don't know why. That was just like, they put people into categories. If you were just in the main hall and you weren't violent and you didn't deface property, then you were in my category, which was non-violent misdemeanor. But here's the thing. In my category of the non-violent misdemeanors, I actually got one of the steepest charges, because there were hundreds of people, you can look at the sentencing chart, that actually got no jail time. And some just got probation, some just got a week, some got 2 weeks, 30 days. So you can even look, like Politico just put out an article. They're very liberal, and they said, yeah, Baked Alaska actually got one of the more steep sentencings for the non-violent misdemeanor. So yeah, that's the thing. People are, always going to call me names. People love me, hate me, like I said. But There's no evidence of me being a Fed, obviously. I expose the Feds. I expose Ray Epps. I chant Fed, Fed, Fed straight to his face. Additionally, if you look at my sentencing, you can look at all the reporting. The judge literally said, he's like, wow, like Baked Alaska did not seem very remorseful, and his behavior was shocking and shameful. Like these are not things that happen to Feds. Feds, you want to know what happens to Feds? Like Ray Epps, they don't go to jail. They don't get charged. They don't get arrested. They don't get thrown in solitary confinement. They don't get ankle monitors. They don't get house arrest. I went through all this shit. My family was subpoenaed by the January 6th Commission. Okay, like, why, if I was a Fed, why would they need to do all that? Doesn't make any sense. Plus, I've been active exposing Feds like Ray Epps. You can look revolver.news. A huge article just dropped 2 days ago where me and Darren Beatty blow the lid on the whole Ray Epps situation. And I talk about how the FBI contacted me and tried to visit me on January 5th, and I declined to speak to them. So, yeah, there's a lot going on there, but hopefully that explains the whole plea deal situation.
Well, we'll go into it in detail. Since you brought it up, I was going to ask you some other questions and stuff first, but since you brought it up, I'm going to go over all the different things. So, yes, the judge said about you, quote, you live streamed your criminal conduct to thousands of followers, hoping they would pay you for your actions. You were promoting and celebrating what was a national tragedy. January 6th was the culmination of a petty crime spree for you, the judge said. He said, you repeatedly streamed your crimes. That's a very troubling vocation, sure. So it is true. Okay, so anyway, the judge said that about you. And it is true. And it seems like part of your sentencing had to do with other things you did while live streaming, right? Which I've seen some of, like one of those things they mentioned in the CNN article is tearing down a Hanukkah menorah outside the Arizona state capitol in the month before the insurrection. So is that a true story that you live streamed yourself tearing down a Hanukkah menorah?
No,
outside the Arizona state capitol?
No, okay. So first of all, both of those are misdemeanors. So these are not felonies or something.
It's a crime though, right?
It is a crime, correct. It is a crime. Right? But okay. I did not tear down a menorah. I took down a happy Hanukkah sign, a cardboard sign as a joke, and then it was put back up. Nothing was damaged. And so they were like, okay, they gave me a misdemeanor. The judge literally said no jail time, no probation. It was a slap on the wrist. So that was something I did as a joke on a live stream. I don't hate anybody. I was making some social commentary because I was at the Arizona State Capitol and there was this huge menorah and there was this happy Hanukkah sign. There was not a single Merry Christmas sign or a tree or anything. And I'm like, what is going on? And I like ripped off this little cardboard sign as a joke. It was, obviously stupid looking back, but yeah, I did that. Obviously there was a pepper spray incident where I was assaulted at a bar. That one is still under appeal. So I did have two misdemeanors prior to this, but I think that maybe had a little bit to do with the sentencing, but not too much because like I said, the judge mainly is going to care about, a huge charge, something like a felony or an aggravated assault, something more intense like that.
Okay. All right. So the sentencing. Okay. So you called out Ray Epps. Okay. People say you were like Ray Epps' neighbor.
Yes.
What's that about?
Yes. So see, a lot of the things that people are like trying to say to expose me, these are things that I exposed on my stream many of these years ago or a year ago. So yeah, if you read the new Revolver News article with Darren Beatty, you can see I started to uncover things about Ray Epps. So the FBI comes to Queen Creek, Arizona, where I'm living, a small suburb of Phoenix, a day before January 6th. They try to meet with me. I said no, because I talked to my attorney. I said, do you have a warrant? They said no. I thought it was like a prank call. And I told them to email me. They emailed me. I was like, oh shit, this is actually real. And talked to my attorney. And he said, don't talk if they don't have a warrant. And they didn't. So I said, have a nice day. So then I fly, I go, and that night is when I exposed Ray Epps.
That night is when this video is from. Okay, when you say you exposed Ray Epps, okay, I'm going to play the video. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see if I have it. Okay, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to play the video where you say you exposed Ray Epps. But this is where even Donald Trump kind of referenced this event, right?
Yes.
So it's Ray Epps screaming, I'll blow it up. And this is like, okay, so
we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed. Tomorrow.
Okay, so that's it, right?
Yeah.
Is there more?
We need to go. I'll say it. All right. We need to go in.
Shut the fuck up, Boomer.
To the Capitol.
Oh man.
We need to get into the
All
Capitol.
right. So there's that.
Yeah.
And then, okay. All right. Counter to that clip.
Yeah.
Some people say, okay, well, this is what Baked says, is that he called Ray Epps a Fed. Okay. But there's another video. Which
Are you talking about the Let's Go video?
The Let's Go video, right?
Yeah,
so I want to let me play it. Let me
Okay.
play it for people, and then you can explain it.
Sure.
Because everybody wants to know, right? Everybody says that Baked is a Fed, or that Baked was, you know what I mean? So we got to make sure we explore it fully. And I have more. So anyway, let me play this.
In fact, tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested. Well, let's not say it. We need to go. I'll say it. All right. We need to go in to the Capitol. Let's go.
All right.
In fact, tomorrow.
So there you go.
Yeah. So to get
defend yourself.
Yeah. So to get the chronological order here, this one actually happened first. So I kept saying, don't say it. So as someone, you interview people, you said you live stream, maybe go to protests. I've been doing this almost 10 years. So if the way I viewed this guy when he first came up to me was like, okay, this is some cringe boomer that's like Fed posting. And I'm like, no. And he's just saying, he's like, we need to go into the Capitol. I'm like, let's go. Like, the point is, I was not meaning to endorse what he was saying. I'm more just like letting the guy talk, because it's this, I'm not, if you're interviewing someone and they're spilling really crazy information, sometimes you're like, yeah, okay, guy.
Right.
And that's essentially what I was doing. I was like, let's go. And that's something that I say. That's not like, that's a catchphrase that I say when I'm making content.
Say, let's go.
Let's go. So I'm like, all right, woo.
Right. Like you just got some really good content.
Yeah, exactly. Got some good content. I'm like, holy shit. I'm not trying to scare him away. I'm just trying to be like, all right, buddy, thinking that he'll kind of, settle down on his own. But then what happens, and these are taken out of context. That was one of the first interactions with Ray Epps. Then I went away from him because he was creeping me out, and he kept following me. He says it again, and then he says it again, and then the clip you played first, that's when he said it the third time. And I've been around some, weird situations at these protests, infiltrators, undercover cops, Antifa, whatever. And like something went off in my brain. And I was like, dude, he's saying a script like this. He said the same thing, because boomers say, I've heard boomers say crazy shit that you could call Fed posting or whatever, and a lot of times they don't mean it. So it's just like, my job is not to like police every single person I talk to. Well, actually, sir, did you know the law about that? Like that's on him. But when I realized, okay, this isn't just some crazy boomer just rattling off something. No, he's specifically saying a plan. He's trying to direct the crowd in a way that seems like military intelligence. Like it was like weird. And then later it comes out, he's from my hometown, Queen Creek, and he was a leader in the Oath Keepers, and he was former military intelligence. And it's like, whoa.
Right. So you didn't know him, even though like you're from the same, like you didn't know each other beforehand. No. You didn't go to January 6th together.
No.
Like you just ended up along with other people recording what Ray Epps did.
That's the first time I saw him. I thought some other clip came out 2 months ago where he passes by me. I don't remember that at all. And you got to remember, that was at Phoenix Stop the Steal. I filmed thousands and thousands. He walked by. I don't even know what he said. And I think I was like, hey, what's up? Like, dude, anybody who's wearing a Trump hat that walks by my stream and says anything, I'm a very friendly guy. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Yeah. You know, so like people put out this clip. I don't remember it. You know, obviously it happened, but that was just some random guy, you know, out of an 8-hour stream. So, I mean, it makes sense that he would be at Stop the Steal in Phoenix and I would be at Stop the Steal in Phoenix because we both lived in Queen Creek. But what I'm saying is the Queen Creek connection, I exposed that on my stream. Right. So it's like, what? Like, I'm the one putting that out there. I put that out. I'm like, holy shit, this is nuts.
So you happen to get that video from Arizona? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
that's
good.
That video. Some of that was from Arizona, or was it from the Capitol?
No. That's all from the Capitol. I'm saying there was another clip from one of my streams months before at a Stop the Steal where Epps like walks by my stream. I guess I wave at him, but like I said, I do that to everybody. I don't remember that interaction at all. I talk to thousands of people. You know, some of these streams are 8 hours, 10 hours. I don't remember that. So, but yeah, no, it's there on camera. It happened. And like I said, it makes sense. He's in that vicinity. But I think that gives more credit that I think Epps has been monitoring me. I think why did the feds try to meet me in Queen Creek on January 5th? And then this whole Epps thing happens. And then he's at the front of the barricades on January 6th. And it's all great. And then other people got Fed visits on January 5th. Milo Yiannopoulos did. I was on InfoWars this morning. I forget who else. Oh, Jeremy Brown. Look this up. He recorded it. They came to his house on January 5th and asked him to basically be some sort of informant or you know, get people to do weird shit on January 6th. And he said no. Like, and he recorded that. So I believe the feds had knowledge of something going down on January 6th. And a lot of people ask this too. They say, oh, Bake, well, if Ray Epps said, go into the Capitol and you said, no, you're a Fed, why did you go into the Capitol on the 6th? And that's something I've been talking about a lot as well. When I woke up on the 6th, I had no idea what was going on. And the Capitol had already been breached. I woke up, Trump was ending his speech. I go over to the Capitol. I start my stream. I'm like, all right, you know, going to be a boring day, whatever. And everyone's like, dude, people have gone in the Capitol. They're pepper spraying people. They're fighting with cops. Go get the content. So I just followed the content. And then there was just a line of people walking in an open door. And I went in and filmed the content. So, you know, if a plane crashes into a football stadium, everyone's going to go film that because it happened. You don't have credentials to be in that stadium. You don't have press pass. No, you just go in because it's content. So that's what I was doing. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I filmed Antifa, BLM, Trump protests, Proud Boys. I filmed it all. I've been at BLM riots in LA where people are looting and windows are being smashed. And I'm not looting, but I'm filming it and I'm going in the buildings and getting the footage. And there's never been an issue. When you give someone a trespassing charge, you have to give them a reasonable amount of time to leave the premises. And you need to say, you will be arrested if you do not leave in, 5 minutes or whatever. That's the legal process for a trespassing charge. But for some reason, they called me a domestic terrorist and they just, and my heart goes out to everyone, not just me, but all the 1,000 people that got charged for trespassing or disorderly conduct or whatever it is. It's bullshit. It's a total sham. This was a honeypot to put patriots behind bars. It's just been absolutely insane.
So you weren't even there for when the barricades went down.
No,
you just walked in.
Yeah.
You're kind of saying to me right now, like I kind of hear like you didn't actually commit a crime, but you pled guilty to a crime. So, and the judge asked you, like, I'm going over this transcript and I'll ask you about it.
Yep.
But the judge asked you if you thought you were guilty and you said yes. So do you think you were guilty or do you think you didn't do anything wrong?
Well, no, I maintain my innocence to this day. I told the judge, you could look this up. I told the judge to his face, I believe I'm innocent, but I'm being forced to take a plea deal because if I didn't take the plea deal, they said they would add on felonies, obstruction of justice, which is a charge up to 20 years. So I was forced to take this plea deal. I told the judge to his face, I think I'm innocent. And he says, well, you have to say you're guilty if you want to take a plea deal. I'm like, okay. And then it's like, am I guilty for picketing and parading in the Capitol? Sure, fine. Okay, let's do it. So, that's what happened. And, that's most people, probably 99% of people are taking plea deals because, this should be illegal. It's terrible what they do, but they say, plead guilty to this charge, or we're going to add all these other charges and you're basically going to be in jail for life. No, I do not. Listen, was I rambunctious? Was I, having a silly fun time in the Capitol? Yeah, I was. But I really did not think I was breaking any laws when I was in there. I did not, because like I said, I was originally charged for trespassing and disorderly conduct. I was in there fist bumping cops, and they said, we understand why you're in here. That is not trespassing. If you're in a bar, you're taking shots with the bartender, you're cool with the bouncer, you're fist bumping them, that's not trespassing. And that was not trespassing in the Capitol. But let me ask you this. Do you really think I could win a jury trial in Washington, D.C.? Hell no. So it's not a fair system. We have kangaroo courts in this country now where it's all political. I'm very surprised that Kyle Rittenhouse got a fair trial. He got very lucky with the judge. But that was also in a more conservative state. This was in Washington, D.C. It's basically a death wish. Every single person that's gone to trial on January 6th has lost badly, and they get punished for it. They get punished for going to trial, which is so wrong. But that's what's actually going on. Only one guy has won out of 1,000. So, that's the odds you're up against.
Right. Okay. And so as far as you cooperating in their investigations in order to get a lighter sentence, somebody shared this when I said you were going to be on the show. Someone said, well, here's proof that Baked Alaska worked with the feds, right? And I was like, oh, really? Okay, well, tell me where there's proof, because I'm reading it, right? So I'm reading it. I'll show on my screen. This is from the transcript of when you pled guilty, basically. And the court said, okay, paragraph 3 tells me that you understand about your cooperation with additional investigation obligations. Is that right? So he says, understand about your cooperation with additional investigation obligations. So what was that cooperation?
Yeah. So, and thank you for bringing that up. So so people think this is talking about additional investigations. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about my investigation, the investigation on me. You got to look at the language very, very specifically. So I'll read that again.
Additional investigation obligations. Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah. So, right.
Well,
it doesn't have to be some other investigation.
Well, yeah. No, specifically, he's referring to the plea agreement. So he says, okay, paragraph 3 tells me that you understand about your cooperation with additional investigation obligations. Is that right? Yes, Your Honor. Now let's go to paragraph 3. Do you have that?
No, I don't have it.
Okay.
Sorry. I wasn't totally prepped.
Oh, no, it's okay. I got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is what he's referring to. So this is cooperation with additional investigation. So that means they wanted to follow up on the investigation about what happened in my instance. This is not about other people. So it says, your client agrees to allow law enforcement agents to review any social media accounts operated by your client for statements and postings in and around January 6th and conduct an interview of your client regarding the events in and around January 6th. Prior to sentencing, your client can accomplish this through an in-person meeting with a law enforcement agent to allow the law enforcement agent to look through social media accounts on your client's phone or other device. So that is what happened. This doesn't say I have to hand over passwords. This doesn't say I have to give them my devices. It says that they will review social media accounts. And honestly, they actually didn't even do that because I was banned from everything. Banned from everything. So what happened is me and my attorney, we went into a meeting. It was about 10 minutes and they just said, okay, tell us about your day and everything. And who were you with? Who did you travel with? I traveled by myself. I stayed in a hotel by myself. The only two people I saw was Wooza and Lols, who are other live streamers. They did not go into the Capitol. And in fact, by me saying that, I actually protected them because, you know, they're not sure who was in the Capitol or not. And they're like, you know, did any organizations pay you to do this? I said, no. And they're like, were you with anyone else? I said, no, that was it. That was it. So to all the people that say this is a very boilerplate thing. I know it, like it doesn't mean actual cooperation. Like I'm wearing a wire, or it just means like, it's like when a cop pulls you over and they're like, you know, let me see your ID. It's like, are you going to cooperate with the officer, or do they have to arrest you and get your information anyways? So that's basically what it is. It was a one and done 10-minute meeting, just going over the facts of what happened in my case. No one was mentioned. Nick Fuentes wasn't mentioned. Groypers weren't mentioned. No other people. The only people mentioned was me and my two roommates, Wooza and Lols, which I said they were not in the Capitol, but I, you know, did spend some time with them, which they already knew. And that was it. It was a simple thing. So people are going to make all these conspiracy theories about it. It says nothing about sentence being reduced. You can find this same language in hundreds of January 6th plea deals. So are you going to call all the other January 6th defendants rats or snitches? And also, if I snitch on anyone, which I never would do, I'd rather die. I'm a very loyal person. If I did, this would come out public. You cannot have an anonymous source that helps you convict someone of a crime in the federal setting. So I challenge people, show me who I snitched on, because it didn't happen. I swear to God, it did not happen. I had a debrief with law enforcement for about 10 minutes with my attorney there, and that was it. Nothing happened. So I hope that comes out, because that would be great. That would exonerate me. I think it probably will after my case, and you guys will see. Nothing happened. No names were named. They didn't even ask me anything about that. So yeah, it was pretty standard. But I understand people looking at this situation from 1,000 miles away, and they're like, oh, Bake got 2 months and this other guy got 7 years. Okay, but you have to look a little further into the situation. Some people got less time than me. So are they all feds because hundreds of defendants got no jail time and just probation? And it's complicated. We all got different judges. You could get unlucky. And I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's fair at all. My heart goes out to the people that got years. It sucks. But I'm doing more time than some other people. Or some people didn't get arrested. Why don't we talk about Elijah Schaefer and Taylor Hansen, both filmed in the Capitol, never arrested, never charged? And I'm not saying they're feds. I'm just saying some people got lucky, or they got a better judge, or they had a better lawyer. I had a pretty good lawyer. I'll be honest. He's really, really, I had 2 lawyers actually. And I thank God for his grace that I got a light sentence, and it is what it is. But I didn't touch anybody. I didn't loot. I didn't steal. I didn't break any windows. Like Nick Ox, for example, he did a couple, he smoked a cigarette in the Capitol. I don't think he should have got 4 years, but he had higher charges than I had. People had different levels of charges. So it's a complicated situation, but I just don't think it's productive to call everybody feds. If you're someone that hates me, fine. People probably will call me that for the rest of my life if they don't like me. But, I'm making a plea to just rationale and having logic and empathy, I guess, for the situation. I've gone through hell, and I would never rat anyone out. I would never snitch on anyone. I'd rather die. I'd rather rot in prison for 20 years. I don't care. But I didn't have to do that, thankfully. So, it's just a hard situation, and people don't have definite proof. They just bring up things out of context and say, whoa, actually, what about this little sentence here? And like I said, you can ask me anything. I'm willing to answer any question, but, I did not snitch on anybody. I never would. And I just hope people would stop calling everybody feds. And, we got to come together on some of these things. I'm being politically persecuted by the Biden Department of Justice. You cannot argue that. And it's are you going to stand with me, or are you going to stand against me? So,
yeah. I mean, you did some stuff in the Capitol. They said you dialed on the phone, or I was reading in this document said you encouraged people. You said the election was stolen or something. Like you said some stuff while you were there.
I believe
you might have touched a phone or something. Did you do that?
I did touch a phone. Yeah, I did a little prank. I was like, "Hello, Trump." Like I pretended like I was called. See that? I mean, but I didn't damage the phone. I believe that was free speech. I mean, would Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel do the same thing if they were in the Capitol? Of course. Actually, the Tonight Show people did go into the Capitol and do a bunch of skits with a puppet dog, and they all got arrested. But guess what?
Right.
All their charges were dropped. So it's a double-sided justice system where only one side gets in trouble. If you're conservative, you're a terrorist. If you're a white Christian, you're a terrorist. If you're a black tranny, woo, you're brave, woo, let's drop your charges. You saw how they treated BLM. You saw how they treated Antifa.
Yeah, it's true.
It's ridiculous. So
yeah.
I just hope, from my story, from this interview, whatever, I just hope we can get more people to stand together. You don't have to like me. Look, I'm standing with Brandon Straka. I'm standing with some other January 6th defendants. I don't agree with some of their views, not at all. But I will stand with them against the political persecution that they're facing, because if I didn't, I'd be a damn hypocrite. So.
Yeah. I guess, like I said, like I had to do that intro and stuff because everybody's saying you're fed, basically. Do you think that's why people like you're not getting invitations to be on like Tim Pool and stuff? Is it because?
Well, no, that actually stems back to Charlottesville because me and Tim Pool were really good. Well, I just did an exclusive with Darren Beatty, and he just interviewed President Trump. So I am
cool.
I am getting some mainstream things, but there is an element of gatekeeping in the right wing, and I'm sure you've seen this. There's sort of a cool kid. So Gateway Pundit, they hate me. Because I outed. I don't know what I could say on this show, but I outed this guy for being part of a certain tribe and having certain sexual preference for men and being married to a young Filipino boy, which is all true. And ever since I pointed that out, and this is all verifiable, oh my gosh, Baked is this evil Nazi guy, and now he's putting out hit pieces about how I'm a Fed constantly. So I think a lot of the Fed stuff, honestly, it's just people that like have some bitter resentment against me. Like I'm being honest, because the facts don't really add up. Tim Pool, he hasn't called me a Fed, but he is kind of ghosting me as far as bringing me. I think he should bring me on. I think I would be a great guest. But me and Tim Pool were great friends. You can find an interview with me and him a few years ago. But right after Charlottesville, he texted me. He's like, "You're a neo-Nazi now." I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm actually not." He's like, "Yeah, you are. That's the perception." And it was sad. He caved to the mob. When I went to Charlottesville, I was attacked by Antifa. And I'll say this, Mr. Lift the Veil. I don't know what your real name is.
That's okay.
Okay, Mr. Lift the Veil. I will say this. I have grown and I have matured a lot in the last 4 years. I mean, I've been through a lot. I'm not here to just say, "Oh my gosh, I'm some victim and I've never done anything wrong." Yeah, I have done things that are wrong. I have made mistakes. I have done stupid shit that I look back and I cringe, but it's not all bad. And people like to focus on the bad things. I'd rather focus on the good things. I'd rather focus on, okay, how have I improved? How have I, learned how to become a better person and get closer to God? And I'm turning this January 6th situation, for example, into a positive. I'm writing a book. I'm starting a legal foundation for other J6 prisoners and families, such as Ashley Babbitt's family. And, that's something amazing that I can do with my platform now. I've changed my content. I used to do a lot of stupid things out doing IRL. And
like the RV stuff. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, some of it was fun, but some of it was stupid. I ended up macing some people. I ended up doing retarded shit that got me in legal trouble. So, some of it I did for money, for clout, and you sort of just get swept up in it. And that's not an excuse. I'm now taking more accountability for my actions and realizing, people watch me and kids emulate me and kids look up to me. And, that was just, I guess, immaturity. There's no excuse for it. I was in my early 30s, so I should know, but it's like, I don't know. I guess I've been a bit of a late bloomer, and I feel like I've really, especially in these last 2 years, matured a lot. And I just, I know this jail time as well will definitely, give me a lot of reflection and I'll have some time to think. But I do see a positive in all this, that I am heading in a better direction.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I saw some of the RV stuff. I mean, I've seen a lot of it, and by the way, I ask for people to give money to the show also, and I noticed, you don't think I haven't noticed that nobody's dropped a super chat yet, but you can always leave a tip at buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, and you can leave it. And if you want to try to leave a message for baked, maybe I'll see it, but no promises. But that's the way you can support this show. So Yoba's got his network. So, and I'm Nathan, by the way.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I know we never totally formally introduced.
You got to get on Power Chat, man.
Power Chat. Okay. All right. Sure. I'll try out whatever. Buy Me a Coffee has been good. They haven't canceled me yet. I got canceled from PayPal. And then I decided that Patreon was just too risky because they were canceling people.
Well,
so
I own Power Chat, so we can talk after the show. I'll get you an account. But everybody, if you love Yoba, if you love me, go throw Nate a coffee, because he's been putting this show together for a while, and I would appreciate that on my behalf, because I didn't do a show today.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I took you away from it. Yeah, I tuned in for one of your streams on Cozy. One thing that's nice about Cozy is you can play like Kanye West songs.
Yeah,
I know. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, that must be nice. It is nice. If I ever try to play a song, I immediately get my stream taken down. So thanks, Street Ghost. I'll let me see. Since you asked for chats, Street Ghost gave $22. He says, let's talk about Luke. Oh, wow. This is really specific. This is really specific. Do you want me to read this one?
Yeah, go ahead. Luke Robinson.
Yeah, of Queen Creek, Arizona, armed with a SIG on January 6th and let go from the FBI, he says. Do you know anything about what he's talking about?
I have never heard about that, but I am extremely interested. So if you don't mind telling me more.
I'm in touch with him. I'm in touch with that person on Twitter, so I can ask him what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Send you the information.
Let go from FBI. Interesting. Was he? Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, was he an FBI agent, or was he let go from the FBI most wanted list? I mean, there's some weird things going on in Queen Creek, that's for sure. But talking about that, I guess my question is, why was Megan O'Reese, this lesbian FBI agent from the District of New York, why was she in Queen Creek trying to meet with me one day before January 5th? Same place that Ray Epps went. So here's what I think, because on video we have Jeremy Brown they're trying to get him into some sort of informant situation on the same day in another state, in Florida, actually. And they wanted to meet with me. So what I think they were trying to do, I think they already had Ray Epps on the hook. They're like, okay, we got this Oath Keepers guy. He's this crazy boomer. Let's get him to, say this line. And that's why I believe it sounded like a script. He was saying it over and over. So I think they were trying to approach me and say, hey, Baked, you got this big following, blah, blah, blah. If you play ball with us and do this, then we won't prosecute you for, maybe these other cases that you're involved in. I think that's what they were probably going to do, but I refused to meet with them. And I think if I said yes, they were going to be like, okay, well, let's introduce you to this other guy in your city, Ray Epps. I think they were trying to, put together this little honeypot situation and have me involved. Obviously, I would never do that. But it's like, why else would they fly across the country and not even tell me they were coming, and then they're in my hometown? Very weird stuff, man.
That is weird. So do you think January 6th, do you think the breaching of the barriers and everything, I mean, do you think it was a Fed op, or do you think it was like real patriots also who were getting carried away?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think it was a combination. Like, all the energy there was real, like 100%. There was so many people. It was beautiful. It was love. But it's very weird. The first breach, Ray Epps is at the front. Like, what are the chances? Like, I don't really believe in coincidences anymore. And it's with Ray Epps. Also, when is the first time any Democrat has run a puff piece on a Trump supporter, defended a Trump supporter. It's never happened. Yet the guy telling people to go into the Capitol, the New York Times, Liz Cheney, the January 6th Commission, they defended Ray Epps. They're like, oh my gosh, poor Ray Epps. What? Like everything that's happened with this guy has just been insane. If it was just one or two things, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I don't know. No, it's like a million things with this guy. It's just every little thing I learn about this guy, it's like, this guy's a Fed, you know? And obviously, you know, I can't say for certain. I think he is. That's where the evidence points. But yeah, very, very strange stuff with Ray Epps for sure. I didn't know, like, people call me the Forrest Gump of politics. I don't know how I end up at the center of these things. I was in Charlottesville live streaming when the Heather Heyer thing happened. And somehow I got blamed for that. I don't know, even though I was maced. Imagine this. You go to a rally, you get maced, and then you wake up and everyone's calling you a neo-Nazi murderer. I'm like, what? Like, but that's what they do. They lump you in with the whole crowd. So in Charlottesville, I really appreciate what Trump said because it was correct. He said there was good people on both sides, which is true. There was legit people there that were like, we don't want these statues to come down, da-da-da. That was me and many other people. We weren't wearing swastikas and we weren't doing all that stuff. And on the other side, you know, I'm sure there were some good people there. But what they do, they lump everyone in. Like Nick Fuentes, he was at Charlottesville for he basically just showed up at like the hotel where we were at and it was already over. And they're like, he attended a white supremacist rally. It's like, you know, there's no nuance. Like what capacity were you involved with that rally? Maybe you just showed up. Maybe you just watched from the sidelines. Maybe you were the speaker. Maybe you were the main guy. Maybe you weren't. I don't know. But it's like, that's what they did with Charlottesville. And that's what they did with January 6th. They said, we're all the same. We're all domestic terrorists. When that's not the case at all. There was literal grandmas who did nothing. Some of them did get in some legal trouble. Some didn't. But then there were some people that should have gotten in trouble. I'll be honest. Like, there was people breaking windows and like causing massive damage. Like, I don't support that. I don't support violence. I do think, you know, I think they should be treated the same way BLM's treated. You know, if those people are being let go, then okay, you know, I think it should be the same. But yeah, there were different degrees of people at January 6th and the media, society. It's just easy. I guess it's easy to lump everybody together. Oh, you were at this event. Okay, you're all the same. You're all the exact same. So kind of crazy.
So you're not like, I know, like, people do get offended when you say they're white nationalists. So people say, like Tim Pool says about you now, I guess, right? You're a neo-Nazi, a white nationalist. So are you not? Because I think some people kind of are, right? White nationalists. They don't like to be called that because they think it's derogatory. But like, they want Christian, like a white Christian nation, basically. So is that, and a lot of people on Cozy are like that. So, and like for Jews not to be in so many positions of power and those kinds of things. So what are your views? Like, do you believe the races should be separate? Do you believe in race mixing? Do you believe Jews should be taken out of positions of power somehow? Any of those things?
Right. So, I mean, I do think race mixing is cringe, but it's not like a sin or anything. According to the Christian faith, it's not a sin. I was actually talking about this with some people. It's like, so I can't really hate on people for race mixing from like a moral standpoint. Like, it's not wrong. It's not, because there's nowhere in the Bible, there's nowhere that tells me that is wrong. It's not preferable for me though. I want my kids to look like me. That's just a personal preference. So I think, you know, really we just need to allow people to have preferences and not just, you know, scream, you're racist just because you prefer, you know, I prefer white girls. You know, I think some Latinas are beautiful too, but you know, we all have different preferences, and that's totally fine. It's not a white thing either, by the way. You look at Muhammad Ali was against race mixing. Many Asians, many blacks, lots of races are against race mixing. Yes. So I don't think that's like a white nationalist view or anything. I you know, like I said, it's not morally wrong. I wouldn't, if I were president, I wouldn't like make it illegal or anything. I do think it's kind of cringe though. You see some like big black guy with like some like, you know, white blonde girl. It just does, to me, it's weird. It feels weird. I know that.
What about Kanye? What about Ye? Because, and actually we can move to this because there's like breaking news about Ye today.
I saw that. Yeah, he's married.
Yeah, well, he's in quotes, they put it, because it's not legal, apparently. It's just they had a ceremony. Yeah. But they didn't do the paperwork. But officially he's married to, it looks like a blonde.
Girl. I looked into that. I think she's Latina, I believe. She's like a sort of white Latina, I guess. I mean, you know, that's Kanye's thing. That's not, like I said, that's his preference. That's not my preference. I wouldn't date a girl outside of my race, or I wouldn't marry one personally. You know, it's you know, I probably it'd be better for Ye to be with a black queen, but if that's who, you know, he fell in love with, you can't really control that. So, I mean, it's not really a huge issue for me. It's not like our main issue or anything. I mean, this is one thing people do. Like, people will come up to me. Like, I had this, people recognize me from the UK because I did the Louis Theroux thing. So, like, whenever I meet UK people, they're like, oh my gosh, you did the Louis Theroux. But no one in America has seen it. It's so funny. But this girl came up to me in West Palm Beach the other day, and she's like, oh my gosh, you said you don't want women to vote. And I'm like, okay, let me tell you this. If there was a ballot sitting right in front of me that said, will you repeal the 19th Amendment? I would say yes, because women are very emotional. And if it was only men voting, it would go right wing every single time. That's just the statistics. I'm sorry. So if men voted, we would actually have a better world. I'm sorry. But here's the thing. They love to bring these things up. I'm like, but let me tell you, that will never happen. That will never be on a ballot. So why are you mad? Why are you arguing with me? I'm like, and she's like, well, I'm voting. Da, da, da. Do you have an issue with that? I'm like, no, that's the law of the land right now. Like, I can't do anything about it. Like, you know, so a lot of these things are basically hypothetical. So it's like, a lot of them we're never even going to vote on. It's not realistic. But I can speak in hypotheticals. I can speak if it was hypothetically on a ballot in front of me. Yes, I would vote to repeal the 19th, 100%. But then they make it seem like, oh, that's your main issue. That's all you think about and talk about. No, it's not. They're actually like women always ask me about it, but like, I don't really care. Like I said, if it was there, I'd vote for it, but I'm not like campaigning to repeal the 19th every day, because that's not going to happen. So, I mean, about Jewish power and all that. Yeah, I mean, I think it is a problem in America. I got outcasted from like the Cernovich groups and Tim Pool and all that for saying Jews control the news on Twitter, which I thought was a funny thing. I just want to have a healthy conversation about race, because it is real. Like, I see, you know, people think we can like just opt out of race. You know, we don't see color, but it's like, I mean, I would love that, but that's just not realistic. Like, the game has already been set. Like, we already live in a racialized world, at least in America. So it's like, for me, I just want equality, I guess. And I want to have healthy conversations. I want to speak about the truth. Our country was founded as a white Christian nation when America was founded. That it was like 95+% white European Christian. That's what it was. And so I would like to conserve. I'm a conservative. I would like to conserve the homogeny as much as possible. I like we are where we are now, right? So I'm not saying, okay, we need to deport half the population, although maybe that'd be nice. But I kid. I mean, we can't really do anything. You know, we are where we are. But I would like to prevent future immigration, future, you know, let's say it like this. If Japan all of a sudden was, you know, 50% black, would that be Japan anymore? Or would that be a sort of different nation? I believe it would be a different nation. It would not be Japan. I love that Japan has a high racial homogeny, that it's like 99%. ethnic Japanese. I love that because I love the Japanese culture. I love anime. I love sushi. I love their food, their ramen. It's amazing. And I want them that's true diversity is preserving all the different cultures. If we all mix together for eternity, we're all just going to be the same. And that's kind of boring. That's how I look at it. So no, I wouldn't call myself a white nationalist, but I would say, I would like a white majority in our country. I think that's good. Crime rate, got some perks.
Right. I mean, see, that's the thing is like, it is kind of like the same. So when people say that, it is kind of true. Like you want a white nation. So calling you a white nationalist isn't really, I mean, besides the fact that people use it in a derogatory way, it's not untrue.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's become a slur.
Right.
Which is kind of a shame, but I think when they say the term white nationalist, specifically, that means someone who wants 100% white nation, whereas I'm just more for like a majority. I'm like, okay, if that makes sense, but I understand they're similar, but yeah.
All right. I got it. Well, yeah, I know. I got into an argument with somebody who was like, oh, you're calling me a Christian, whatever. And I was like, well, that's what you are, that's what you want. So it's not like, so I understand you have views, like you just have to understand, I guess, is you have views that will make you unacceptable to society. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, you have to understand that at least is so, and people are, somebody's saying that they're going to give me a strike for this video. I don't think so. I don't think we've said anything that crazy. And we're just talking, well, I just want to understand where you're coming from and stuff. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, you have those views, so it's good. And you might as well say it. And that's the views of a lot of people who are over there on Cozy and stuff. And Nick Fuentes has controversial views, and I've talked to him before too. So it's interesting. I have different views, but I think you deserve to exist, and people shouldn't, and there shouldn't be the censorship, there shouldn't be the political persecution and all of that other stuff. So, tell me about the Ye campaign. Yeah. Like, what's the status of it right now? And what are you doing for the Ye campaign? The Ye24.
Well, so there is no official Ye24 campaign. He's exploring a run in 2024. I've heard from inside sources that it's very likely that he will run, but no formal announcement has been made. So there is no campaign officially. So I'm not working for the campaign or anything. Obviously, I'm good friends with Nick and Ollie Alexander and some people involved. But I guess Ye is really preying on it and figuring out what he's going to do. But I'll say this, I would love to be involved. I love Ye. What he could do for politics, what he could do for this nation would be absolutely incredible. He's a musical genius. He's an innovator. He's made some of the best clothes. I'm wearing Yeezys right now. The man is amazing. He's truly remarkable. So, we need some major change in this country. I think Trump was a really good starting point. But he's not the final guy. We need to continue to progress and, move the Overton window and have new ideas that get people excited and get people back to work in this country. People are suffering. People are bored. People are getting censored and persecuted. It hasn't been fun. I have been happy. Like I said, Elon Musk and some different people have been speaking out and saying the truth and taking back the censorship. I think that's great. I think we have a healthier world where we can all come together and, voice our opinions. We don't have to agree, but we don't have to just ban everyone, give them these lifetime, gulags. I mean, Ye has some pretty remarkable ideas. And I would like to remind people say, Ye could never win. Well, they said the same thing about Trump. And all Ye needs is about...
Yeah, but they're right about Ye, though. I mean, really.
Well, that's what they said about Trump. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Let me tell you this.
People who knew. Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you this. All you need to get in the debates is about a 2% polling. Ye can easily get that. Now you put Ye in a debate with Trump. Oh my gosh, that's going to be content. I mean, if nothing else,
content.
It's good. It's going to get, it's going to get people talking. He's going to bring up issues. But already, what has Ye done being a potential candidate? He's forced Trump to move further right, to come out and defend the January 6th defendants, to, he had this dinner with Nick Fuentes and all that. So Ye's already changing the conversation. People want more than DeSantis and Trump. I'm sorry. Let me tell you this about Trump. I love Trump. I have him tattooed on my body. I will always love him. He has not done enough for the January 6th defendants. It took him 2 years to start saying some of the things he's been saying lately that Ye said right away. Why has Trump promoted none of our legal funds? Do you know how easy it would? He has a Twitter account, one of the biggest in the world. He could literally say, hey, here's all their legal funds. Link. Put 1,000 links. They would all be paid in 24 hours. He's not thinking. He's not innovating. He's just, I'm sorry. It's like Trump. I don't think Trump can win in 24. I'm just being honest.
I don't think so either.
Maybe DeSantis can. That's possible. But I think we need something new. I mean, just like Andrew Yang, I really like the idea of him running back in 2020 because he didn't win. He wasn't, a top candidate. But guess what? He went into the debates. He provided new ideas. He, the UBI, and he brought excitement to the base, and he forced a lot of those Democrat candidates to adopt some of his ideas. And so at the very least, I think Ye would be very effective in bringing up popular positions that Trump and DeSantis aren't talking about and forcing them to adopt some of those positions. At the very least, I know he's going to be a big influencer in this next race.
Yeah, I wonder. He's got so many things going on in his head. You wonder. So what is Nick not working with him right now? Do you have any scoop on that?
Nick is still working with Ye. Yeah.
Yeah, still.
There's not like a linear process right now, I guess. They're very new on the job. Nick is going back. Well, he'll be going live tonight on cozy.tv. He hasn't been live for a little bit. He's been sick. But starting next week, he's doing his show full-time in LA. So Nick's been sort of moving his base over to LA to get closer to Ye. Ye just got married. And so he's been busy with that. And I think, Ye's just, before he goes all in, he's making sure, all the ducks are in a row so that, Fuentes can get in the position. They can do their thing. So it's not all the way set up yet. That's all I can really say. So,
yeah, right. Well, so yeah, we have different opinions about things. I don't think Ye has a chance. And I think some of the things he said are, problematic in serious ways. Even though I'm sympathetic to some of his problems, I'm certainly sympathetic to some of his problems, especially, like his personal trainer had him locked up put him on. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, he has legitimate complaints about things that have happened in his life. The way he's put them forward are, Ye is somebody who doesn't follow the rules really. So the way he's put him forward is like somebody who doesn't say things that people expect him to say. So yeah, and he is great for content. That's why I think you guys are all jump on board, is just because he's so great for content. So do you guys use the N-word less now that Kanye West
maybe not. I mean, I don't really use it that much. I didn't think. I don't know. I mean, I'm a free speech absolutist pretty much. So I believe you can. It's also about context. Like, I would never call someone the N-word, but if I'm just like, what's up, my N-word, to my friend, there's a big difference there. There's actual context and meaning in words that actually matters. So, and then about the Jewish thing too. I love Jewish people. I love everybody. Like, there's, maybe Ye didn't, maybe it didn't come across, every single thing he was saying because, imagine getting your life threatened by your personal trainer and all these, he's making connections like, damn, all these people, end up being like very similar. That's kind of weird. So, I mean, I would say my biggest gripe is that I just think that you should be able to make fun of everybody. So like, whether you're Jewish or black or white or Asian, nothing is off limits in comedy. And that's the biggest problem, because it's not just the Jewish community, but they are a big proponent of this. It's also the LGBT, and it's these certain groups are like, no, you can't. And what happens is then you get, companies like the ADL and the SPLC that are policing all these platforms, and you're not allowed to say what. And so that's the thing. And when they push back, as it creates a bigger problem, instead of just having a conversation and being like, okay, you should be allowed to joke about every group of people. If it's a joke, like why are you allowed to say F white people, they suck on Twitter, but not certain other groups? That's all I'm saying. I want it to be fair. I don't hate anybody. I'm a Christian. I literally, if I were to hate someone, I would be going against my own beliefs, and that would be wrong. So it's more of like an age-old question that we want everyone to be fair. We want a level playing field, and we don't have that in America. We have the ADL running the censorship and banning for PayPal and YouTube and Google and Twitter. Why? Like that's what I'm trying to say. Why? Like what is that? Doesn't make sense to me as an American citizen in 2023. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with our country. So I don't want any foreign interest. If there was a company, censoring people for making jokes about Japanese people, I'd be saying the same thing. It's not exclusive just to that group of people, but it's more just saying like, hey, like, do we really believe in free speech or not? Because if we don't, then we need to change the First Amendment, I guess, or have some new rules. But as far as it stands now, we should be able to say whatever we want, as long as we're not, doing something illegal, saying, we want to murder someone. Yeah, of course, there's lines there. But as far as just telling a simple joke, I just think they're way too sensitive. I think a lot of groups are way too sensitive. And if we could just have some healthy conversations and loosen up a little bit in this country, I think it'd be better for all of us.
Yeah, well, one thing I had trouble with, which almost nobody else, definitely nobody on the right said anything, is when Ethan Klein made a Holocaust joke, right? About Ben Shapiro. Remember? I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, that's, to me, I think jokes
get away with a lot.
What's that?
Ethan Klein gets away with a lot,
and he got banned for that. He got a strike for that. And I was like, that's wrong. You should be able to make a joke say that Ben Shapiro should be the first one. If that's, I don't know. I'm sorry if that's against YouTube guidelines. I'm just saying, YouTube, I respect your guidelines. I'm quoting him, right? Respect your guidelines. I'm not saying that about Ben Shapiro. Yeah. But I think somebody should be able to say that. That's all I'm saying. YouTube, like I said, YouTube a million times. What did Dave Chappelle said what you're supposed to say? I denounce anti-Semitism and I stand with my Jewish brothers and sisters. But it's true. I'm against racism. I genuinely am. But I think sometimes racist jokes can be funny. That's all.
Of course. Why not?
It's just sometimes it's and we should be allowed to have some fun. So I guess
that's nothing.
Yeah. So hopefully
I learned racist jokes from my grandpa. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't these days they turn it into something so evil. But then look at Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is literally making jokes about most races. He's just a really good comedian, so he can't really get in trouble. Although they've tried to get him in trouble. But we just gotta loosen up, people, please.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I want to leave it on that note. We need freedom. We need to be free to make content, be funny, make mistakes sometimes.
Yeah.
And then and take accountability when we make mistakes and all that stuff. But we just want to be able to speak. So anyway, I wanted to get you on. I wanted to hear what you said. Since I heard you were a Fed, I wanted to ask you if you were a Fed. And I think I asked you, and I appreciate the fact that you told me I could ask you whatever I wanted to. And I appreciate you being pretty forthright. I feel well, who knows? People will say, oh, he was lying, that Fed and turning everybody in. But who knows what the results will be. But I appreciated having you on. It was nice talking to you. And we can talk about your money changer thing, whatever it is.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get super chats.
I'll send you a DM after.
Okay, cool, man. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you want to catch Baked Alaska, he's at cozy.tv/Baked
Alaska.
Baked Alaska. Cozy.tv/Baked Alaska. And there's other stuff that goes on over at Cozy TV. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'll see you guys at the next one. And for now, let's go.
Let's go.
That's what
Thank
it
you
is.
guys so much. I appreciate it. Shout out, lift the veil. Good night.
All right. Good night, guys. All right. And okay, cool. And I'll end this.